Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have for you, we are actually continuing our restaurant series. Today we have part Where Have All the Leaders Gone, presented by hospitality specialist Chris Tripoli, who has over 40 years of service in the hospitality industry as a designer, developer, owner, and operator. For those of y'all that are unfamiliar with SBDC, what we do is we provide comprehensive training and business-related advising to small business owners and entrepreneurs across our 12 county coverage area. The advising services are at no cost because we are federal, state, and locally funded, so tax dollars have prepaid for our services. So I highly suggest that if you're not an SBDC client, to go ahead and sign up. For those that are outside of our 12 county coverage area, which spans from all the way Georgetown, Austin, San Marcos, just let me know, drop me a note in the chat box, and I'll be sure to connect you with our local SBDC. And I do want to inform those of y'all that are actually joining today that Chris will actually be coming on as a consultant with SBDC. So if you have questions related to the hospitality industry or restaurants, he's going to be a point of contact for us. Just reach out to your SBDC advisor and we will get you connected. Okay, and a couple housekeeping rules. Have questions, please drop them in the chat box. We will have a Q&A at the end of this, and then afterwards, I will be sure to send up a follow-up email with Chris's contact information. With that, I'll let you take it over, Chris.
Great. Thank you, Francisca. Always good to join you. Thank you for joining all of you folks that are going to take time out of your day and spend a little time talking about leadership development with us. I appreciate the SBDC for putting this restaurant reality series together. And hopefully you'll be able to stick with us as we go through things from finance, menuing, marketing, and today we're talking about leadership development. You've probably seen, of course, it's hard to not notice with the changes that are occurring right now that are impacting our industry with trying to get back to usual with 100% business opening available and mandated mask expiration. Each one of these steps is trying to get all businesses working. And what does that mean for hospitality? It means we might be getting busier again. We might be bringing staff back that we hadn't had for a while. We might be rearranging our inside capacity to be a little bit more like it was before. And we might be finding some confusion. We have some of our guests that are willing, able, and can't wait to get back. I'm calling them the active guest. They've been the ones that have been still out and about. They've been the ones that have been working with the social distancing and eating in restaurants with the tables far apart. But we've also got the other guests, the hesitant guests, the ones that we're gonna have to work hard to develop confidence in them again, to come back. And so what does that have to do with leadership development? Well, it really means a lot on how we're going to motivate our staff, train our people, get our message out, and operate consistently. So for those of you who are operating restaurants already and have had development issues with your key staff, or have always wondered what's happened to these people that you felt like were a little bit more responsible and helping you get things done, then you have probably asked that question, where have all the leaders gone before? We're going to talk about the difference between managing to get through the day, which a lot of times we do, and leading, which means inspiring others, motivate others, and helping them help us get through the day. By doing that, we're actually setting the bar higher, and we're actually setting it a little bit easier to operate consistently for tomorrow and the other tomorrows. Or it's basically being said this way: leaders in a small independent operated restaurant are able to not just work in the business with the staff, support the staff, roll up their sleeves, getting things done, but they're able to schedule time to step back and work on the business. And that's where we want you guys to get. So think of it this way: the difference between working in and working on are found in the little things. The difference between getting through the day and actually leading others to do a better job for you through the day are in the little things. And that's where leadership comes from. When you want to inspire and develop people, it isn't going to be in the big things of understanding their daily duties. It's going to be in the little things. And how they care and how they want to do, and how can you tap into that. So think about this, if you will. When I talk about little things, There's probably no better picture than if we could just imagine ourselves in our kitchen now with a big stock pot of hot water on the range. Okay, and what's happening to that water at 211 degrees? At 211 degrees, the water's hot. I mean, it's really hot, but it's just hot water. Okay, what happens when it's at 212 degrees? 1 extra degree. Well, now the water is boiling. Boiling water creates steam. Okay, steam is harnessed to create all kinds of things. Years ago, steam ran engines, locomotives. We were able to settle the West by laying tracks of trains, and we did all of this because we were able to harness steam. 1 degree, the difference between hot and boiling creates steam. So that's what I mean when I say we're going to be talking about the little things today. We're not going to be talking about big business principles. We're going to talk about little things because that's where you find the leaders. That extra degree is what creates change. It's that little extra degree that you see in people that is demonstrating their extra effort. So it's that little extra degree that helps you find those key people and get them to just not help you manage through the day, but lead others, inspire others so that we can get, our work done better. We can keep people longer. We can operate our systems more consistently. It's that little extra effort that's going to get you to feel excellence rather than accepting mediocrity. So, make sense? Okay, let's get started. We're going to talk about the difference now between what and how. So some of you might be owner-operators, which means you're playing both roles. You're asking yourself the question about leadership because you own, say, one small bakery cafe or a coffee house or a breakfast restaurant, or maybe it's a bar, and you're there and you play the role as the head manager. You're the owner GM. I get it. So in that case, you have to sort of separate your mental duties from leading and planning from actually doing. For some of you, you do have different people. You might have key people. Maybe you've got a kitchen manager, a floor manager that report to you. So you do have people that are supposed to be responsible, be held accountable, supervise others, and inspire others. Okay, what are they expecting from you as an owner? And what should you be expecting from them as a manager? Well, that's going to be found in the difference between the whats and the hows. Leadership creates answers to what. So as an owner, you're responsible for making sure everyone is clear on what the expectation is of the business. What is the, say, service level that you want the guests to experience? What is your minimum standard of facility maintenance and cleanliness? What is the financial goal that you want to hit? What is the approach you want to take to marketing? The what's come from the leader, the person in charge. Now, a good manager doesn't need to be the what person. The good manager needs to be the how person. So if I'm your manager and you've laid out, here's what I see as the service. Here's what I see for daily operations, for ticket times. Here's what I see for per person check average. Here's what I see for weekly revenue. Then my job as a manager is a how guy. See, management is all about how. My job is to say, okay, how can I help you get there? Or basically answer that by saying, this is how I can get there. I need this kind of schedule in order to run that kind of service. Or I'm going to run these kinds of specials in order to get that per person check average. Or I'm going to do this kind of cleaning at night, but do this in the morning in order to meet your standards. You see what I'm saying? So think about that. Leadership's role is creating the answers to what? Management's role is how to implement, how to get you there. Working together, you have a really good, consistent operation. And sometimes this is the same person. I was when I first owned my first restaurant. I was the one that had to sit down quietly and work on the business. So I could come up with all those expectations I had up in here on paper. So I could answer those whats. This is what I was hoping the guests would experience. This is what I was expecting in revenue. This is what I was expecting out of my training. This is what I wanted out of a cleaning program. But because I was also the lead manager, then I was the how guy. Okay, how am I going to best do that? So you might be doing both right now. It might be a juggling act. It's the same thing. Part of your mind is doing the leading. The other part is doing the managing. Most of you probably have, like I said, key people. And so you set that up. So as long as the manager is very clear on what is the goal, what is the expectation, what are the targets, what are the assignments, then they should be expected to come to you with how I'm going to get you there. I'm a manager. I'm all about the how. So the way this works, and the way you might see it for you advisors that are on the line, when you're working with a client, the way we normally see active leadership in restaurants today is by what I call the 3 E's. So this might be the triple E's of leadership in restaurants today. The first E is embrace change. Leaders embrace change. They're not stuck in, this is the way we always have to do it. They're moving and trying to find better ways to set the bar higher, easier ways to make things work, better uses of technology, faster ways to get something done, lesser inexpensive ways to maybe do something to increase profit. So you're embracing change, not standing still. The second thing that you're going to see in a good restaurant that is led correctly is engagement of others. So we embrace change and then we engage others. We're going to talk about that. Leaders normally are able to engage and listen to and include in team members, managers, staff, guests, etc. And then the third E is empowering others. And this is where sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes leaders trip a little bit and we get into that micromanagement. I'm there all the time. So I'm not just setting the what's, but I'm also getting involved in exactly how. And what we want to do if we're a really good leader is once we embrace the change, once we engage others in our thinking and we get them to be clear and bond, then we need to empower them to go do exactly what their responsibilities are. So those are the 3 things that leaders do. So hopefully the light bulbs are blinking. You're assessing yourself already on, how am I engaging my staff at this time through COVID? How did I include them to maybe help me develop my pivot, my menu, my change in marketing direction? Did I do a good job of that? Could I do that better? Am I constantly micromanaging and doing the job for them? Or am I really empowering them to do their work? And then just being there to direct, assist, answer questions, and show support. So those are the 3 steps that restaurant leadership includes. Embracing change, boy, what a time. I mean, the times couldn't be more obvious for how we would need embracing change. Even before COVID, restaurant leaders were adjusting menus to be a little bit more third-party delivery, online ordering. We were using more technology in order to get work done. Then COVID comes like a 5-gallon barrel full of gasoline dropped on a fire and just put us over the edge. It was like overnight we had to be there. We had to change. We lost our dining rooms. We lost our customers. So we had to pivot our business and get more done with fewer people and develop our to-go strategy or redo our website or do whatever we could do. So change is coming faster. So leaders have to react quick. They need information. They need to be efficient, they need to be smart, and they need to be able to make decisions based on the changes that they see so that they can maintain the brand's identity. And they can make sure that they can operate consistently. So whether this is how we do our advertising now, all digital, or whether this is how we do our more limited menu for to-go, or how this is how we're going to train our staff by using video, these are examples of changes that I'm seeing actively done by the independent restaurant operators right now. So that's just step 1. A good leader is always got his thumb on the pulse, always engaging, always embracing the changes that are out there, open for improvement. Okay, the second one is engaging others. Where are the leaders today? I'll tell you what, they're the leaders that are in the restaurant, sitting at the table, working with the staff. The leaders today are not the ones that are distant, that are in the office, that are sending emails, hanging a memo. No, you got to engage others. And that kind of communication is informative, but it's not engaging. So staff involvement means just that. It means communication with your key staff leaders, with your line cooks, with your servers, with your counter help, with your to-go staff, bartenders, whatever you have, just some type of an opportunity where they know they can talk directly to you. And what you're engaging in is conversation about improvement, conversation about newness, direction, suggestions. There are some restaurants that have been doing this for a while. They even have them labeled. They'll call them the employee quality circle, where management is disciplined to every couple of months sit an afternoon and just engage with staff. It isn't meant to be a beef box. It isn't a standard employee meeting. It's different than shift meeting. The only topic is we want to know what you guys think. Where are you going? What are you seeing? How are we doing? What are customers saying? How are we rating? How can we be better? Any suggestions for improvement? And what happens through these sessions is people do feel that, you know, I count. I matter. My opinion is actually asked for. And boy, when something as serious as COVID hits, some of the best ideas that I saw in restaurants came from being engaged with staff. They were able to quickly rally with their manager and their owner to tell them, here's what I think we could do as a minimum. Let me help you assess the item sales reports. Let me give you some suggestions on how we could take just the key items on our menu, repackage them. Here's how I think we should maybe set up our packaging now that our to-go business is quadrupled and we need a little packaging station. So you get them really rolling. And a lot of times the people that are doing the doing do the doing better when they also know that they had input. And doesn't that make sense? I mean, we all feel that way, you know? So you want them to do the doing better. Well, let's take a step back and actually get the input first. Leaders engage others. A thought just popped in my head from a restaurant group I worked with long, long ago. And it was so much fun. They were a very established restaurant family, still in business in San Antonio. Been there for 50, 60 years. They had a lot of long tenured staff. They felt that management and staff were getting a little too distant. Staff set in their ways, always doing things the same way, been there for a long, long time. Management distant, not connecting. Maybe they're not motivational. So of course, I came in and said, let's just start engaging. Let's not have any preconceived agenda. Let's just see who wants to sit one afternoon, eat some complimentary yogurt, and talk about things. And the first meeting, I have to tell you, was a little suspect. You can tell sometimes people might not be comfortable at first when they say, we're not talking about anything in particular. You're not mad about the ticket times Friday night. This isn't a meeting because I got caught parking in the wrong place again. No, we just want you to talk about the business and how you see things. And maybe we could throw some things out to get them stirred up. So I threw out some issues about when we're busy, efficiency, ways to improve things, staff roles, should anyone be doing things differently? And you'll never guess, after a little while, somebody, I forget her name now because it was long ago, said this is maybe just a little thing, but Saturday and Sunday breakfasts are incredibly busy. We all know that. And the expo station is kind of small. We get by Monday through Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, forget about it. We're bumping into each other. Tempers are short. We always need the extra warm, waffle syrup. So by reaching and getting that, sometimes we spill, we break dishes, and the expo guys are always mad. The managers get mad at us. So my suggestion would be, couldn't we just get one more little soup warmer that we could plug in on the other side so we could also have warm syrup there? There'll be no reaching, no cross traffic. We're probably going to break fewer monkey dishes and everyone's going to be happy. The expo will be happier because we're in and out quicker. Very small idea, right? The management did the right thing because they made it into a big deal. So it wasn't about a monkey dish breaking. It wasn't about a convenient way of getting warm waffle syrup. It was engagement. It was about wanting the staff to know that their input is important. It was about wanting the other staff to know that they should be doing this too. So we wrote a nice little thank you card and hung it on the employee bulletin board way back when, see, in the old days when we still had those. So other staff now, a few days later, were coming and going, look at this, thank you note to so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so for taking time out of their day and discussing efficiency. We got a couple of good suggestions. And based on that, thank you to Teresa, we'll call her Teresa. Special thanks to Teresa, because starting this weekend, we're gonna set up a separate waffle syrup station. So there can be less cross traffic. Hopefully you guys are in and out of the kitchen easier. We don't want anyone bumping and spilling, and we'll break fewer dishes. Thanks again for the suggestion. So what do you think that did? I mean, Teresa is now going, ooh la la, thank you. I got a written thank you note. I feel good, I'm appreciated. And what's wrong with that? Nothing. What's better though, was the message it sent to the others. Because there's a ton of other employees that said, well, I could have said that. I knew that. I mean, come on, I've been here forever. I should have been at that meeting. I've got ideas. I think we should do our high chairs hung instead of tripping over them on the floor. I think we should clean restrooms at night so we don't hurry in the morning and we'll get a better job done. I think we should this. I should look at what was happening. So the next month, the quality circle had like a dozen people instead of 4. And they got all kinds of little ideas about improving to go and packaging this and training this and cleaning that. So see what happens? So now management wasn't distant, tenured staff wasn't entrenched. And it was all because the engagement of others. So if you're a leader, you want to reach out, you want to bond with those. You want them to have a feeling of input. You might want to do weekly meetings with your key staff, your kitchen manager, your front of the house manager. So they know that once a week, we're going to sit together, have a cup of coffee, and we're going to talk about 5 or 6 key things. So they're well prepared. It isn't just a jibber jabber session. It's 5 or 6 key things. Planning specials. Is it setting our purchase budget for the week? Is it sales expectations? What are the 5 or 6 things that you think are important enough to talk about every week? Do those in weekly meetings. And then lastly, engagement of others doesn't stop with key staff weekly, doesn't stop with engagement of staff on a quality circle basis, but it also means reaching out to the consumer. Your customers that are there, that like you, that come often, they're a wealth of information. So a really good leader is the one that's going to reach out and say, I'd like to plan maybe a small meeting of steady customers to test out some new menu items, or to come in and maybe sit in the private dining room on a Thursday night and try some of these Sunday brunch specials before we put them out there. I want to get some input from the customers. Well, not only are you getting input from them, but you're also motivating them. You're creating sort of a walking, talking marketing department because they feel special. They feel appreciated. They're invited to taste wine before you update the beverage menu, or taste breakfast items before you update the brunch items. Some leaders are doing this with their email marketing. It's a great idea. Every week the email blast goes out to talk about what's special, or what's new and different, or unique package on our Friday fish package for 4, available to go, curbside pickup only. But nothing's wrong with every few months attaching a small questionnaire to that to say, our valued customer, we appreciate you so much. Please take 5 minutes and answer the following questions just to get to know a little bit more about their consumer behavior, their preference for dining in versus curbside pickup, the items that they like better, to go, how often they're dining out. Sometimes restaurant operators are always concerned about the price of things. So I've seen how leaders work in a really nice question that helps you get more comfortable with your prices. You don't ever ask a direct question if you want a direct answer. You always ask an indirect question to get good direct information. By that, I mean, you don't ask them, what do you think of our prices? Good, yes, too high, too low, check here. No, that's not it at all. If you really want to get their feedback on where they're going, what they're doing, how much money they're spending when they go out, and how that compares to you, the question to ask is, when you're not enjoying yourself here with us, please list the 2 or 3 restaurants that you will more regularly go to. See, that's a price question. Doesn't sound like it. They don't think so, but it does, because now once you get 1, 2, 300 of those back, and you're charting to see when they're not dining with you, they seem to be going here, 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 and here. You probably already know those restaurants, but if you don't, you're going to be quickly going to their website. And even if it isn't the same type of restaurant as you, and it doesn't have the same menu items as you still get the idea of what they're spending when they go to that dining occasion. So you can compare entree to entree, right? Your dessert section to their dessert section, your drink prices to their drink prices, right? And so that might help you feel a little bit more where you stand. Are you kind of in the middle? Are you the lower price alternative? Are you the higher one? That's one of the important things that comes out of engaging others when the others are also our guests. And then lastly, engaging others would also maybe include industry knowledge. Leaders are those that like to stay in the know. So stay current with industry trends, download that kind of information, be active with your trade associations, have separate meetings with the business development people in your prime vendor, whoever your prime vendor is, just to stay current on trends, costs, customer behavior, because they know. So We're talking about leadership in restaurants, and we talked about how you've got to embrace the change. Now we gave some examples of how leaders really engage others. So once you do that now, the proof is in the pudding. The result comes by empowering. So now you've got to let go, you've got to let do, you've got to direct and support and appreciate and not micromanage. If you do micromanage, you're managing to get through the day. If you're leading, what you want to do is send out the plan, send out the people, and then just assist them, review, evaluate, assist, direct, but not do for them. So here's some examples of how independently owned restaurants are doing that, say, with their key staff. Once they've got them engaged and they've created some suggestions, their key staff are also meeting weekly. Well, then what they do in order to help empower them is they have them help develop some of the what's. What is our annual plan? What's our budget? What type of marketing do we want to do this summer? Help me with that. So they're empowered with specific issues because they've got an annual plan that's broken down by the quarter. What are we going to accomplish this quarter in terms of revenue, in terms of marketing, in terms of staff training? Maybe it's a capital improvement. We're going to add the deck. We think we'll do that in the fall. Well, having them know means you're having them help you. And having them help you means what? It means they'll accept some of the responsibility of getting it done. And when they accept responsibility, it's easier for you to hold them accountable. So you see how that circle of leadership works? Involvement, input, then comes assistance, and then you direct them. When they're directed, they're responsible for what their role is or what targets you gave them or what projects they're supposed to complete. And the more responsible they are, the easier it is for you to hold them accountable. So monthly goals are good. Weekly objectives are good. Every day, empowering people to implement something that you developed is how you demonstrate that you're empowering your key staff. Do you have some of those projects going on now? Menu, marketing, staff, training. Are your key people empowered? Are they directed? Do they know what's expected of them? Then this way they can actually do more for you with regard to those. See, if not, that's where I would start. I'd make sure that they fully understand their role and responsibility and that they are directed to go implement it. And you're going to be there to assist if needed, or review, evaluate, but not necessarily do it for them. So the owner's role for managing these key staffs changes a little bit. It changes a little bit when we go from managing hat on to our leadership hat on. A leadership's role for managing staff is to make sure they have something to work for. Today's staff want to have something to work for, something to believe in. It isn't just a job. It isn't just about the work. And leaders see that. And so they want to make sure that there's a great understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. You know, we talked about what's and we talked about how's. Now we're going to talk about why are the whys important. But a leader wants staff to bond with them through this process of the 3 E's. And that happens a whole lot better when there's an understanding of why. Why is it that we're doing what we're doing? Is there a purpose to the business? Was the purpose to open, create value in a brand, perhaps expand? Is the purpose to be a community involved business? What's our vision? What's the mission of the owners? Those have to be well understood. And I'll tell you why, because if I'm a staff member or if I'm one of your key staff or manager and I am interested enough to give you input, I feel appreciated by being important enough to give input. And then I help you with the implementing. I want to know that I'm doing all of this because I'm working towards a goal that I understand. So it isn't just a job. Leaders long ago started realizing that in order to get staff to create a positive working environment, stay longer, train better, perform better, they needed to have that feeling of belonging. So they needed to feel like they were engaged. They needed to feel that they were empowered. And the reason for that is leaders recognize there's sort of an employment triangle, a triangle of equal importance to the worker today. Part of that triangle is the quality of compensation, of course. we're working and we're following your lead. And part of it is because, I mean, it's a job, and that job does compensate me. And I feel like I'm compensated fairly and I can make money for the hours that I'm working. But that isn't just it. I mentioned the triangle, and that's just the first side. The second side, which is equally as important as the quality of compensation, is the quality of work. People respond better, stay longer, and follow your lead better when they feel like you care about the quality of work. And you can show them that by including them in on the discussions on the type of purveyors you select, the type of product that's important to you, why you have the service steps that you have. You want to excel. You're expecting a higher quality of work. Trust me, people want to know that their work is good. They want to know that it's appreciated. They want to know that they're doing a good job. And so they stay if they feel like the leader is committed to a higher level of quality. So quality of compensation, sure, but it isn't just the job. I stay because I follow this leader because I appreciate the quality that he or she sets, the quality standards, the quality product. I like working with the better product. I like doing a better job. So those are two. And what do you think the third one is? That leaders have, they realized long ago that if you're going to lead a team for a long time, you also have to demonstrate concern for their quality of life. So quality of compensation, quality of work, but then also quality of life. It means a lot to the hardworking staff if they know that somebody's willing to work with them around maybe the one or two shifts that I really can't have the late station because nobody is watching my children at that time. And so, you know, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as long as I can leave at this time, I'm okay. So in the kitchen, maybe they're scheduled to do prep 1 rather than prep 2. So they leave at 3 instead of 6. They appreciate that concern that you can show. There's a number of employers now that are working around education because we show that, or trying to do the 2 days a week off together every once in a while. Anytime that we can show some type of concern for lifestyle, then we're leading the right way. It's how we can lead our staff properly. Quality of compensation, quality of work, work environment, et cetera, and quality of life. That's how the owners can demonstrate, they're working for their staff. Allowing staff members to share in the wealth is something leaders in restaurants need to consider. Now, I use the word wealth, and that doesn't mean you cut them in as a partner. It doesn't mean that everybody gets an equal share of the bottom line. No, it doesn't mean that every worker, whether they're full-time or part-time, is treated like an investor. No, that's not what I mean. But they can still share in the wealth if everyone understands that we're working towards a common goal. And by hitting that common goal, we have targets to hit and we can share in some type of bonus, show some type of appreciation. Sometimes it's a matter of changing incentives to not just be for the server who sold the most. Or who had the highest check average gets a whatever free dinner, or just a sales contest. So all the staff competes and competes and competes, and then somebody wins a dinner for 2. I'm not saying those are bad. We've done them a lot, but leaders have figured out a way to bond the staff and tie the back of the house with the front of the house and come up with a common target. Like, for example, having a evaluation that owners with managers will do of the unit. And some of that evaluation includes the back of the house, quality standards, recipe, serving times. Some of that evaluation, of course, is customer awareness, high satisfaction rates, facility cleanliness. And if we hit those targets, then there's a certain reward. Maybe it's a party, maybe it's gift cards, maybe it is monetary, but it's distributed to all those working. So everyone feels a sense of care, and the care is demonstrated in some type of reward. Now, every time I tell this story, a picture comes to mind. I'm going to share it with you. You might find it silly because it happened to me so long ago. And it was in my very, very first job. I'm 15, I'm bussing tables, and I'm learning to do pantry work in the kitchen at a really nice high-end steakhouse in Phoenix, Arizona. But it's hard to talk about inclusion front of the house, back of the house, without thinking about this. It's hard to talk about how sometimes little things work without thinking about this, because this was I don't know, 50 years ago, and I'm still talking about it today. And it was a very little thing, but we loved this manager, Ray Nardoni. And if you saw him, you would at first wonder why. This was a massive man, Italian, almost mafioso looking, very, very rarely did he smile. But Ray Nardoni had a heart, as big as a whale. He was very caring. He had very high standards, but you wanted to work hard for Ray because he really cared for you. He was nicknamed Sugar Ray because he was just a warm, fuzzy bear. So what Sugar Ray would do at the end of every shift is he would go through the kitchen into the office, and he had 2 drawers in his desk filled with candy. One candy bar was the Payday. You guys know the Payday candy bar that has that sticky, caramely, nutty taste thing. And the other bar was the Zero bar, which I believe is like a white nougat kind of a bar. He would load his pockets. He'd walk through the restaurant late at night and he would fling them. Danny, Payday for you. Good job on the ticket time. Sal, Payday for you. You didn't think I noticed, but I saw how you did the special no lemon butter trout dish. You for the check average, hey, Pat McCarley, Payday for you on picking up and helping out on table 12 without having to be asked. Didn't think I noticed. I did. Keep it up. And then for the people who maybe did something wrong, which more than not, that was me. 0 bar to you, Chris. Come here. Let me give you a hug. I saw, you were trying to hurry. You dropped the bus tub. You broke the glasses, but let's laugh it off. Pat on the back. You'll have a better day tomorrow. Okay. It wasn't about the candy bars, right? So it's just like if you come up with one and it's a good incentive bonus and you're giving out gift cards or free dinners to other restaurants, they're going to like what they got. But hopefully they're going to remember not what they got, but that they were shown some care, that they were included, they were appreciated. Here I am years later, I didn't even like the candy bars. I mean, Payday's not a candy bar I would go buy. I didn't like the 0 bar either, but I liked being noticed. I liked being appreciated. I liked being thanked. Who doesn't? So was he demonstrating 2021 leadership tactics way back in the 70s? Yeah, because those little things maybe they're not going to be, a candy bar in a pocket today, but it's going to be something. Have specific targets, complement the small things, reward the little things, and you'll get more effort on the bigger things. Leaders recognize that. Managers who are just busy getting through the day miss it. Okay. Another thing that leaders can do is show your staff that you care about that positive work environment because you want to keep them current. You're efficient. You stay current with the use of technology, how you do your scheduling. You maybe have switched some of your training to video. That's a good thing to show the staff. And that used to be something that was expensive and only big companies can do. Not so much anymore. Small, independently owned restaurants are using their own phone facilities and clamps to sit and take themselves doing the employee handbook from welcome to vision to explaining the purpose, the importance. Many restaurants are getting staff together and actually taping a demonstration of, say, the 9 steps of service. Here's how we want our people, greeted. Here's how we present the menu. Here's how we don't forget about the daily special. Here's how we compliment how they order. So by doing things like this, you're showing your staff your care and concern for not just expecting them to do the work, but that you're giving them the tools that are more current. Countertop kiosks might work in some of your environments. Tabletop tablets might work in some of your environments. Personalizing drive-through might work, for some of your environments. Getting your staff to rally around curbside pickup now that it's a bigger piece of your business. So we want to find better packaging, faster, more efficient ways of tracking the order. So these kinds of examples, I think, go a long way to show your care and concern and help establish you as the leader, the person to follow. It creates a positive work environment. Another thing that creates a positive work environment is a leader who wants to take direction, wants to maybe take all of the preparation, watch all of the implementation, and not take the credit. A good leader is the one that when I sit with someone and I ask them about things, I notice that without even a second thought, the use of the S words are just natural to a leader. The first S word is sharing. So if you're going to sit with a restaurant owner, operator, and they have truly had success leading, they're going to be sharing their success. The moment you say something like, they did a good job on the weekly numbers, or things went really well with that Friday party, or that pivoting to curbside pickup has worked. I'm reviewing your numbers. Your goal was 30% of sales. You're at 40. Good job. What is a good leader's response going to be? He's going to be, well, the people really made it happen. The team's really good. Everybody stepped up. That's what made Friday work. Everybody rallied. That's why we did a good job on the curbside program. Or I've really got a good team. They buckled down. They made it happen. And that's why the party went off without a hitch. They share success. They know that they may have directed the effort. They may have come up with the idea. They may have done all the design and created the procedures. They might be leading the pack, but without the pack implementing it correctly, there's no success, right? So you always share success. Another thing that a leader will do in a restaurant today with their S word is they shoulder the results for something that goes wrong. They shoulder the blame for a failure. If I'm at that table and I have that conversation, only now it's like, oh boy, what are we going to do? We were off our numbers last month. Or that party had a lot of complications and didn't go worth a poop. Or how come we're so behind on our curbside pickup program? A leader is going to say, I know it, I got it, I've been through it, I know how I'm going to make the changes. Next Friday is going to be, much more improved. Or I got it, filled the gaps, changing how we're double checking our party orders. So the next one's going to go off, without a hitch and be on time. See, shoulder the responsibility, accept the failure. A leader who isn't a leader, who's just slipping into managing to get through the day, is going to have all the reasons and excuses. Like, Chris, I knew you'd notice that. But, I was a guy short on the grill, or that party, they're the ones. I mean, there was a very tough client. They changed the timing on us, or curbside is just too difficult. My place is too small and I don't have that second side door, and we're just going nuts with the program, quite honestly. See, that's not leading. That's just trying to get through the day. So if we're really, really leaders, we share our success. All that does is further the bonding, make people work harder. All that does is get more input, and that circle of leadership is spinning. A good leader is going to, again, shoulder the responsibility. It's my responsibility. Okay, maybe I wasn't even at the Friday party. My responsibility because I'm the manager. I should have been better prepared. I'm going to be better prepared. And this is how. See? So that's what leadership's role is today. If we're creating that kind of culture, it's because we're walking the walk. So you can't expect the fact that we're going to be doing things like sending out good signals, bringing in good technology, and then just going back to the office and expecting it to happen. No, good leaders embody the purpose. A good leader who made that nice video and is sharing their wisdom about mission and vision and purpose and setting all the what's is going to care enough to walk the talk, care about the what's, be there. It's more than simply having profit at the end of the month to a leader. It's how we created that profit that's there at the end of the month. That's the real win. So that's what builds satisfaction among the staff. Building satisfaction among the staff creates more loyalty. When they're more loyal, they care more for your guest, right? So good leaders are the ones that seem to hold on to their staff longer, and it's because the staff's satisfied there and they're loyal to the leader, which means they do a better job. A better job means they're caring for their people, and caring for their guests means what? The restaurant is better. The restaurant is busier, the restaurant's more successful. So this to me isn't really an option. Becoming a good leader is the way we sort of guarantee an opportunity to succeed. It's a way we sort of guarantee that we have a chance of being a leader in the community, keeping the better people, and making that profit at the end of the month. So we're leading with care. That's what it's all about. We lead with care. We choose a way to make a difference and have our staff rally around it. I was encouraged by seeing in the Texas Restaurant Association's numbers that even though we lost something like $18 billion in revenue, thank you, COVID, last year, even though we lost, thousands of jobs, even though they estimated about 14,000 restaurants statewide closed, not to reopen. Among all of that, they also noticed that 81% of the restaurants surveyed said that they were able to rally their staff, keep their team together, and do some type of a charitable contribution during COVID. See, now that's heartwarming. Not only because it was good to do something good for those in need, it was good to open your restaurant and maybe become a pantry for the food pantry, make the sandwiches, feed those in need, deliver the food to the first responders, have Nurses Day at the hospital sponsored by your restaurant every Wednesday. These are all examples, by the way, of what real restaurants have done. It wasn't just that, but by doing that, we showed leadership, care for the community, and we showed bonding of staff. Staff love rallying around a sense of purpose. So that came out of something that was bad. Let's keep it as a foundation and develop it into something that's more good. So how are you going to rate yourself? If you feel like I'm doing this well, I think I'm doing better now. I'm embracing the change. I'm making the improvements. I'm engaging others in what I do, and they are appreciative, and their input is paying off. I'm empowering people to carry out their responsibilities, and I'm busy, I'm active, walking the walk, I'm living the culture that I've created. How do you measure that that is successful? I would suggest you could measure it by 3 C's. The first one is clarity. You're really leading well when everyone that you're leading is very clear. They got the message. They saw the video. They're reminded in shift meetings. They know that there's a purpose. There's a vision when you created the restaurant. What's the mission for success? They understand your what's, in other words. Then that means there's clarity. That means you're doing well. The second C is communication. You're keeping up on that weekly sit down with your key people. You're keeping up with that once a month or two, just having that round table, complimentary yogurt, jibber jabber, focus group, quality circle, whatever you want to call it, where it's a period of engagement. And you're consistent. Consistency is the third important C. Staff, people who are following leaders need to know where they stand. They need to know what to expect from their leader. So if you've got a plan, if you created the what's, if they're understood, stay the course. Be consistent. Clarity, communication, consistency means you're walking the walk. You're being the type of leader that restaurants need today. And there's restaurants out there doing this. We pay attention sometimes to the real big national restaurants that seem to do a lot right, seem to keep their staff active in the community, busier than other restaurants that are in their market segment. So of course, I'm thinking of places like Chick-fil-A. But I'm also thinking of smaller, locally, independently owned restaurants like Pal's. Look them up, Pal's Sudden Service, hamburger restaurant, I believe they're in Tennessee, family owned. They're the winner of the Malcolm Baldrige Award. And how many restaurants get that Commitment to Service of Excellence Award? How about Zingerman's Deli? A lot of the steps that I just shared with you come right out of what they practice every day. Zingerman's is a wonderful, independently owned, multiple restaurant group now in Michigan. So it is doable. It really is. Embracing, engaging, empowering, clarity, regular communication, being consistent with your expectations. That's possible. That's what the good guys do. And that's where the leaders are. That's how you become not just managing to get through the day, but leading to become more profitable and more busy with more loyal employees doing a better job in the future. So when we get there, we're no longer that concerned anymore with the competition around us. Restaurant leaders are always aware of competition, but they don't fear it. Restaurant leaders are also aware of increasing costs. Costs are going to come and go, and how are we going to manage our increasing costs? But they don't fear it. Restaurant leaders are aware of the tight labor market, but they'll work around it, so they don't fear it. The one thing that good leaders fear is mediocrity. That's what they fear. That's what breaks the circle of leadership. Once we start accepting mediocrity, once we accept it's okay just to manage through the day, once it's okay that somebody really isn't clear, once it's okay that we're not embracing change anymore, that we can skip engaging others, then we started accepting mediocrity and we're failing as a leader. So that's how you measure yourself. So thanks again, guys, for today. Hopefully these principles of leadership help you with you and your restaurant. I think I may have left a little bit of time, I hope. So if there are some comments you'd like to make or questions you'd like to ask, we have the time.
Yes, please. And if it's a little bit easier for you to take yourself off of mute, feel free to do so. I just want to note a couple of things. We will be finishing up the restaurant series with menu best practices, which is scheduled or rescheduled for March 24th after spring break. So you're more than welcome to join us. I've dropped the survey link. If you have a moment, please take that. That lets us know how we did and if there's anything that maybe you want to see presented in the future. Again, if you're not an SBDC client, the link is there to go ahead and sign up to register for the next one with Chris on March 24th. Use the upcoming workshops link and I will open it up for questions. Since we don't have any questions, we're going to go ahead and close it up. But if you do think of something after this, I will follow up with an email. You're more than welcome to reach out to Chris or send an email to sbdc@txstate.edu. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Chris, I really appreciate your insight on this. And we will see you all back on March 24th. Everybody have a great spring break. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.